our work and then on the talk based on the experience of the work. Today, I'm going to speak to you about promoting sustainable agriculture in spice crops. Before I go there, I want to briefly introduce Urvara Krishi Private Limited. This is the company which I am the founder and CEO of. Urvara actually promotes agriculture which is profitable and sustainable farming practices and is environment conducive. We are today working in 4 states of India, and we work in agroforestry as well as specific agriculture crops. Spices are one part of that agriculture crop vertical. I have a team of 30 people who are skilled, committed, and passionate agriculture professionals and work with farmers and soil and lands to grow these crops. What is sustainable agriculture? We hear about this a lot these days, but basically, if you put it simply, sustainable agriculture is that there should be production, it should be productive, and it should be ecologically balanced crop production method. It seems very simple when you are saying when you are really defining it like this, but it is extremely difficult to implement in today's times because everybody just wants higher crop yields and returns. What is the problem in India? We have small and fragmented land holdings. We have rain-fed farming, more than 60%. There's a climate change happening. There's a land degradation. And there are unsustainable farming practices because of the unregulated use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides. And also with the farmers, there is lack of access of technology and markets and inconsistent farm incomes. What we suggest normally is plant trees with crops because agroforestry is a good mixed cropping system and it works well with the land degradation and climate mitigation area. Basically, for the agriculture crops, one must try, or the manufacturing industry should start making backward integration projects directly with the farmers, either through them or outsource a technically oriented agriculture company to do it for them. That is then it happens that the farmer awareness, farmer technical training, and a lot of things happen if such an agreement or such a relationship is put into the place where there is marketing support available at good premium pricing. What are spices? Spices are basically the parts of plant food which are used to, they are the plants which are used to flavor food. They can be bark, they can be roots, seed, flowers, and they are used in every cuisine today, whether here or all over the world. What we are going to deal with is 2 spices, dried red chili and turmeric. Why did we go into spices? Because we are a company and we looked at the business part of it. And if you see that, the trade of spices, 3.62 billion in 2020, is supposed to go to 6.75 billion in 2030. Dried red chili is basically cultivated throughout India, mostly in the South India, going to the Central India, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh. Finger turmeric is also mostly grown in South, also Central India, and also towards the Odisha and Eastern coast. It is also, of course, available in Uttarakhand as well, but we will be talking to you about where we are growing these 2 spice crops. In case of chili, we are working this crop in dried red chili in Maharashtra, in the Chandrapur region of Maharashtra, Central India. It is in the Vidarbha. If you see the crop cycle, basically, the chili is grown or sown in the month during the monsoon time, generally July, August, September. Then the green flowers come, then they slowly turn into red. Then these are plucked and harvested, then graded, and after grading, they are sent to they are dispatched to whichever the buyer is. What we do in going in towards the value addition of this crop is that we train the farmers for IPM produce. IPM is basically integrated pest management. If we have to sell this to a company, generally the export companies, they want to have very few chemical residues or none, but none is not possible unless it is organic. So it is few. So if you look at where, I have given some molecules that they do these 24 molecule tests in terms of chemicals. And then if you also see the sample 1, sample 2, sample 3, you can see in all bold that everything is available. So farmers are just spraying these chemicals left, right, and center. But what they want is the residues which are acceptable or the limits are acceptable, because these houses are exporting it to either the Europe or the EPA clearance, which is known as to the America. So what we do is that we try to give the technical expertise to the farmers, to produce the IPM grade, which is where you get the premium pricing. So there is a farmer advisory, and then we procure the produce from them. We pay them immediately and then dispatch it to the buyer. The buyer linkages are in place in the beginning itself. We only do those crops where the linkages are already in place, so that farmers have a market to go to rather than then hunting for a market once the crop is ready. The new crop we want to add into our portfolio is paprika. We've recently done trials of this crop in Madhya Pradesh, and we found it growing well. And now here as well as abroad, there is a lot of demand of paprika, which is basically dried red chili, but it has no heat factor. That means this is not spicy, but it has a very nice taste, and it is used on various European style of cooking, and also now in India as well. This is turmeric being grown in Odisha. These are small hamlets. So we are working with these villages in the Lakshmipur block in the Koraput districts of Odisha. The villages are very small. The population is very small. So we have to get in touch, with almost 1,000 farmers. Turmeric is traditionally grown in this area, and we are not touching their traditional practices, which are actually very good. But what happens in that case is that the yields are very low. But in any case, since they're not using any chemical fertilizers or chemical inputs, and only they depend on the farmyard manure, their produce basically has no chemical problems, but they have other problems. Now, the crop cycle here is also different. Generally, the crop cycle is 10 months. You start sowing in May, June, and then you come out with it in March. But in this case, some farmers are 10 months, some are 22 months. That means that they sow in the May, June of this year, and then take the whole next year. And then after that year in March, they will take their crop out. You can see in this picture, the green crop, and then it dries and becomes brown. And then, the tribals, they take away the fingers as well as the round part of it, which they call the mother part of it, which they actually keep aside for resowing. The fingers, they will then cure it with boiling, and they rub it a little bit on stone to give what they call in their terms polishing. And then they dry it. And if you see how they bring it to us, and the quantities are basically per farm or per small land mass between 150 to 250 kilos. So we have a place there where we collect all this, then locally transport it to our nursery, which is also there in Koraput in Odisha. And as you can see that we regrade it.
Dr. Suchita?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. I think you need to change the slides manually.
Okay.
You're still in first slide.
Oh my God, but I am changing manually. Okay.
You have to select it manually.
Yes, okay. Can you see them moving?
No, it's in the first one only, promoting sustainable agriculture, that one.
Okay.
Yeah, now. Yeah,
now
turmeric in Odisha.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
So I was, okay. So speaking about Odisha, then I have spoken about the crop cycle. Now, where is the value addition coming up in our case? The value addition is coming up here is that we bring the turmeric from those farmers to our nursery. Then we get it graded properly. We get it repacked. And farmer advisory, of course, throughout the crop cycle is always there to attend to any problems they have or to talk to them basically. And most of all, the value addition in all these cases is that we give them the good market. And we collect all of that and then send it as a bulk to the buyer, which the market linkage is already in place in the beginning of the season once they start cropping or once they join our program. So the business model in all of these cases, whether it is spice crops or other agriculture crops for us, is that we try and establish the market linkage through industry. It's B2D, B. We have no retail outlets. We tie up with the user industry. We do the backward integration project with the farmers for them. So we grow them, we give the farmer advisories, we help them grade it, we pack it, and then we procure the produce from them so that we pay them immediately at the time of taking the or procuring the produce from them. We may get paid after 3 to 4 week cycle, but this really gives the trust with the farmer that his crop is paid for and he has now earned whatever he wanted to with the with the crop he has sown. But we also have strong competition with the traders and suppliers. Traders actually are like, inherited businesses. They are there also for a long time. Our economy is dependent on traders. Most of the farmers depend on traders. Most of the user industry depend on traders. So they buy in big volumes. They are also local. So sometimes they buy cheaply. Sometimes they can afford to give even more prices. So they are a big competition to us, and we are still struggling to really, compete with them to buy the produce, although we help the farmers throughout the year to grow them. In Right journey so far, we have done 430 farmers we were in touch with in the Right Chile, and of course in turmeric in 2000 because it is too small an area point. And we have, procured about 160 metric ton produce of dried red chili and around 300 for the turmeric. Value proposition, what do we bring? I mean, sustainable agriculture, how do you really tell farmers to bring sustainable agriculture? Unless you are telling them to use good practices or the practices which are environmentally conducive, or not to use pesticides, or to use fertilizers which are better, which have less chemical content, more natural. They're all more expensive. So why would he do it? His yields are also not going to be at par, or they are not going to be more anyway if they are even at par. So why would he do it? He needs to have the price for that. He needs to earn. So we need to have buyers who are there for these kind of produce, who believe in sustainability, who are environmental oriented buyers. We need to have that buyers. And I must say that so far there are very few. Even the large houses you go to, basically what they do is competitive pricing. And for this, mostly the traders come to their forte. But what we are working for is our value proposition is to get the market for the farmers with the industry before we take on a crop. We want to ensure the food safety, and it will be ensured if the crops are in any case exported or otherwise go through some standards where the chemicals are checked. Then we want to also become a committed supplier to the industry. It's not that if the prices are high, we will stop supplying to our partner industry and go to somewhere else. No, that is also not happening in our case. And we really believe in farmer education. Believe me, farmers understand that the pesticides have not to be sprayed, but they just don't know. Once the insects hits them, they just put whatever is given in their hands by the so many shops which are around in that area. We have to improve the farmer incomes. If the farmer incomes are not improved and not consistent, they are not going to adopt sustainable farming practices. It doesn't make sense to them because agriculture is what they live on, and agriculture is what gives them the incomes to run their families and their homes. So it must be there. Market realization has to be there for them. They must get payment. They must get immediate payment. There are credits sometimes going for long time. They generally, in our farmers, they have no packaging or transportation costs. We take care of it. We just buy it from their field and pay them. Technical assistance must be given for a specific crop. It cannot be a general that, you have given instruction for one crop and it goes for all crops. No, the diseases are different. The pests are different. The growth patterns are different. The fertilizers are different. So it must be given for each crop you deal with. Impact. Sustainable agriculture has all kinds of impacts. It will have economic impact, it will have social impact, and it will have environmental impact. But it is seen after a certain volumes are done or a certain large areas are done. If that is not done in the smaller projects, it is very difficult to measure these impacts. But yes, the farmer incomes do stabilize with sustainable agriculture over the time. The social is always there. There is health, there is food quality and safety. There are farmer skills which are developed, environment, carbon sequestration, soil productivity. Soil is so bad in India most of the times. Reduce land degradation and climate mitigation. Of course, if you plant trees with the crops, you have climate mitigation in that. I just want to cite an example here. You know, when you do risks and management, you see, sustainable agriculture or any agriculture today have lot of risks. There are unexpected climate events. They impact the yield, the growth, the quality. This year, for an example, we got this thrip in Chile, and some of you may have read that 60 to 80% of chili crop in southern India just died because of the fact that during the flowering, this thrip came. And how did the thrip come? It came with papaya from Thailand. Over the time, it colonized or it made a host the dried chilies or the chili family throughout, whether it was dried chilies, green chilies, or it was jalapeno, it was capsicum. It just infected this year. There was no control measure. The chemicals which we have available for because in each area, if it is your indigenous pest, you have biological control. That means there are some other insects which give a biological control. These exotic species which enter into the country in one way or another have to have then no biological control, and you have to then struggle to find the chemicals which would control it. But farmers lose their crops, and yes, industry is also impacted by this. That is why the chili prices have been really high this year. Sometimes there is excessive production, good production year, then also markets crash, then also farmers suffer. So basically, it's sustainable agriculture has to start from a consistent income point of view, which is right now not there. But how do they mitigate the risk? One is that they have to work on more than one crop. There has to be a crop rotation, easier said than done. Doesn't happen so far, but it should, because that way if one crop or one insect comes or one crop dies, maybe another one will be saved. Then you have a crop at different locations. This is for the industry, user manufacturer industry. Don't put all your crop or buy all your crop from one area. You have to do your backward integration programs in more than one area. Then, of course, for farmers, there should be a prior market linkage so that they are not affected by the price crash or price up or anything like this, but they have a steady income going throughout, so that gives them the encouragement. Then with the training and the consistent income, they will follow the sustainable agriculture path and they will follow the practices. So I would like to thank you all here for listening, and I'm sorry that my sharing screen did not work so well. Anybody who is interested in also taking the presentation, I would be happy to share it, or I would be happy to share it with agriculture information, and they can pass it on to you. Open to questions if there are any.
Thank you, Dr. Suchita, for a detailed presentation. I'll take up the questions now. So the first question is, can you please stop sharing the screens and keep your video on? So that, okay, thank you. So next question, the first question is, what are agroforestry projects you have dealt in?
We actually work, I work with commercial agroforestry. So we work with paper companies to plant the pulpwood trees in farmer lands, wherever in the vicinity of 500 to 700 kilometers off that mill to the farmers. Yeah.
Okay, so it's like all types of woods?
What
particular wood?
The trees we are generally do the pulpwood trees. So those trees would be basically eucalyptus, casuarina, subabul, and acacia, depending on the climate we are in and the soil we are in. But generally, these are taken up in rain-fed land, so there's no irrigation there. But they can improve soil gradually if they are grown in these lands.
Okay, so not the ones like sandalwood and rosewood and other types of wood.
Too long. They are too long. Gestation period. Farmers don't want to grow them as commercial crops in the land.
Okay. So the next question is, do you also provide a consultancy service?
Yes, we do. Yes.
Okay, like how do you provide this? Like, what is the process? And charges also, if you can share.
Charges depend on the project. We don't have a standard charge for each, but projects can be in terms of developing a crop in a certain geography. It can be attending to a specific problem which the growers are facing in a certain crop in terms of either the growing pattern or the specific insect control programs towards organic cultivation. So the consultancy services all depend on the type of project and where you want to have it, so because that will also involve the travel and other costs and whether we are able to take it during that
time. Okay, so the next question is, how do you help farmers and in what crops you can help the farmers?
So as I told you earlier that see, we are all in our company, and myself also, I come from agriculture background. But the thing is that over the years, one realizes that each crop has their own, what we known as what we call package of practices or cultivation package. We are currently dealing with 3 agriculture crops. One of them is dried red chili. The second is the turmeric. And third is a medicinal crops known as ashwagandha, which we are growing with farmers in Madhya Pradesh. We introduced that crop. It actually took us 3 years of trials to go to this level that we can now take it to the farmers commercially. So we generally, in the new geographies, we do small trials first, pilots. Once the pilots are successful and we are confident that this crop can grow in that area, then only we start a crop. But having said and done, we also first have the market linkage for that crop. There is no point in taking a crop where you cannot provide market, at least at our level.
Right. Okay. Okay. So like with the farmers, you do the contract farming, anything like that?
Yes, we do contract farming with the farmers. So we are basically a bridge between the user industry and the farmers. What it helps is that the industry usually have some specific quality of crop, and they want traceability and documentation, like they should be able to trace the crop to the field and the farmer. So that is their USP which they want. And to farmers, then we train them. And it is generally the user industries also mostly have their agriculture divisions, and they help us a lot because they know about the crop and some small points about the crop. So we join hands with them, and then we do the training of these farmers, the area which we have picked up. Then throughout the crop season, we hold hands with these farmers. And then eventually, once the crop is ready, it is sampling is done by the user industry. The tests are done. Generally, we are growing residue-free or very little chemical residue in the crop. So they do the chemical testing. Once the tests are cleared, then we just get that crop from the farmers. We pay up front, then we get it graded, some from the farmer, some ourselves, get it packed as per the specifications of the buyer and dispatch it to the buyer area. And then after 4 or 5 weeks, we get paid from the buyer.
Okay, and next question is, I think you already answered this. It's about, other than turmeric, which are the other spices you work in?
Only dried red chili and turmeric as of now.
Okay, okay. And next question. Do you also help in setting up a nursery?
Yes, actually, we are very good at setting up a nursery. We have done the, not now, not in the startup, but earlier. I have done for the forest species also with Punjab government in association with FRI. Our own nursery is very good. We have greenhouses and the open areas, and yes, so we do help setting up the nurseries.
Okay, so these are nurseries of it's of vegetables or flowers?
We have tree plants. Tree plants, clonal nurseries are required. That means that tree plants are cultivated from a single plant, and it is supposed to be true to that germplasm, the plant which is selected for either its its bowl or its straightness or whatever purposes. So this is with the greenhouse technology. Then we also do vegetable seedlings, since we are growing vegetables. We've recently started vegetable seedlings because the same facilities can be used for the same purpose. And I'm quite surprised, not, I'm happy to know, to see the demand coming up, especially from where I am in Vidarbha. There wasn't much demand. Actually, with climate events that is happening now, the farmer is losing their nursery in the field. Otherwise, the practice is to sow the nursery in the field, and then from field, they do the transplanting in the field as well. That is how they have been working for so long, which is fine. Actually, it is cheaper, it is fine. But hybrid seeds are very expensive now. And with the rain coming, there's no recent time of the rain. So sometimes farmer end up losing their nursery, not once, but twice. So that also delays them because they have to plant during monsoon. So now what is happening is, and I'm happy that it is happening, because world over, actually, people have central nurseries, and for long, long distances, these small plants travel, sometimes in refrigerated, sometimes without refrigeration, to various areas, because nurseries, seedlings actually saves farmer a lot of money. Yes, they have to pay, but they get the final plants. So the survival loss is all the guy who is selling it to you. And basically you save the time that you, during the June, suppose you want to have early planting, because early crops, as you know, are more expensive. So the farmer gets better returns. So if you have already crop in your field and you want to uproot it, say in May or June, and then plant your nursery, and then you wait for 45 days for the nursery and then plant. Instead, you can order the nursery prior to any person who is selling. We are also doing that. So they do order the nursery for us for a specific time period, saying that sometimes farmers come with their own seeds. They give us the packets of the seeds. They said, you deliver us on this within this week. So which gives them the leverage that they can pre-order the nursery seedlings. And then they take it from us. By the time their field is empty, they have already done the land preparation, and they take these, the plants, the small plants, and they transplant it or plant it in their seeds. I think this is one of the best way moving forward, at least for vegetable seedlings. I'm sure the case is also must be in flowers, but we don't deal with flowers. So I have not much knowledge in that area.
Okay. Next question is, does government provide any subsidy, and do you guide farmers on this?
In our area, there are no subsidies for the farmers per se. So, so we can't guide them actually. Because we haven't found any subsidies existing. Earlier, there used to be these greenhouse subsidies and irrigation subsidies and drip irrigation subsidies, but we don't know, and we don't actually liaison with farmers and government to get that also, because it's a very cumbersome process, and we don't want to get into this.
Okay, and next question is, please tell us a little about your education background and how you got interested in agriculture.
I am actually I'm a product of. I have studied in UP and Punjab, as my father was in transferable in these two mostly, and but my PhD is from Punjab Agriculture University. Well, I didn't get interested in agriculture per se. I was more interested in becoming a veterinarian, a veterinarian, but I got badly hit by a buffalo, I guess, in Punjab. And so shifted the stream to agriculture and went into plant breeding. After that, I went to Cambridge for 3 years in the plant molecular biology. And I came back and joined JNU for a while before I decided that I wanted to actually not work in lab, but wanted to work on the land.
In the fields.
Yes, in the fields with farmers. So I have worked in various areas now, in various crops, in various areas, mostly trees, but some agriculture as well. Now then, 2 years ago, I started in 2019, this small startup, which is basically working only with the farmers and industry.
Okay, so you are like limited to a few particular cities? Or
yes, I have. We have nurseries, or we have leased the nurseries, actually, I have worked in paper companies earlier, and now they are no longer working on it. So they have outsourced or leased the nurseries. So we today work in Odisha and Maharashtra, where we have nurseries as well. And in MP, we don't have. We have. We went into MP also 2 years ago when we started doing ashwagandha. But now we have also successfully trialed out paprika there, and we would now want to take that also to the farmers this year, for a limited trial, because I only did it in 1 acre last year, which is okay. But now this year we'll take on a larger scale and then maybe larger commercial. So MP is turning out to be a good area for us to work as well. So today, MP, Odisha, and Maharashtra, yes.
Sorry, madam, there was an interruption. I'll just proceed on it. I'll just check if there is any further questions. There are no further questions. Thank you very much, madam. We have now completed the round of questions. On behalf of agricultureinformation.com, we like to thank you for the talk and for answering the questions in detail. I like to also thank all the participants in the meeting. This meeting will now be closed.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and thank you very much for talking to all of you.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.